Heartwarming rescue. 3 incredible hours as Coco inspires a team to save his mother from drowning. The sun hung low over Lakewood, casting a golden glow on the annual community picnic, a day meant for joy, laughter, and the simple pleasures of life. Families gathered, sharing delicious potluck dishes while children, sticky with ice cream, chased each other near the shimmering waters. Ethan, a spirited 12-year-old wildlife photographer, was enjoying the day's festivities with his loyal dog, Coco, by his side. He watched the sunset reflecting on the lake, his heart swelling with the beauty and simplicity of his world. He admired his mom, a tireless nurse and single parent, who moved through the crowd with contagious enthusiasm, always helping others and giving more of herself than anyone thought she had. But then the laughter shattered. "Help! Someone's in the water!" A child's desperate scream echoed in the air, cutting through the joy like a knife. In an instant everything slowed. Ethan's mom dashed toward the lake, her expression a mix of determination and fear. She dove in without hesitation to rescue the struggling child. But then calamity struck. She slipped on slimy rocks and was dragged under the surface. The world around Ethan blurred. Panic flooded his chest as the one person who had always fought for him was now fighting for her life. With his instincts kicking in, Ethan felt an urgent need to act. Coco was right beside him, barking frantically. Ethan's heart raced, memories of his mom's sacrifices flooding his mind. The townsfolk rushed to the water's edge, faces filled with shock as they formed a human chain to save her. Familiar faces from school, the caring church leader, and even the gruff veterans joined forces, their collective fear brewing into something greater than themselves. But as their hands linked, a tension simmered beneath the surface. Long-held grievances erupted, old rivalries and resentments threatened to disrupt their efforts to save Ethan's mom. They stood at the brink of a transformation, where trust was crumbling. Even as the water churned, they struggled with their own insecurities amid the fight for survival. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the human chain tightened, Ethan felt a flicker of hope. But his heart pounded like a drum in his chest, the weight of their strife threatening to snap their fragile alliance. That's when Coco stepped into the spotlight. With a fierce determination, he patrolled the perimeter, sensing the collective pain of those nearby. He barked and wagged his tail as if saying, "Remember your strength. Remember us." Suddenly, seeing the dog's energy, a spark ignited within the crowd. They looked past their fears and reconnecting through love, they unified their strength to pull at their very core. The fight was more than for one person now. It was about mending broken bonds. But the seconds were flying by, urgency hung heavy in the air. Would they find the courage to let their hearts lead them, or drown forever in unyielding resentment? As Ethan held the chain steady, he felt his mother's spirit urging him on. Would love prevail over fear? With that lingering question, the scene faded to black, leaving everyone yearning for a miracle, wondering if together they could conquer the depths of adversity before them. The water roiled beneath the surface, each ripple a reminder of the frantic urgency consuming Ethan. He could feel his heart hammering wildly against his chest, the chaos swirling not just around him but inside him too. The faces of the townspeople, once marked by anger and doubt, now reflected something different. There was determination in their eyes, a shared realization that failure was not an option. "Keep pulling," someone shouted, their voice breaking through the tension like a crack of lightning. It sparked Ethan's courage. He looked at Coco, who stood firm, tail wagging as if urging everyone forward. "Come on, buddy," Ethan shouted, channeling the energy of the crowd. They needed to be reminded of their strength. In this moment, Ethan felt a surge of hope. He kicked off his shoes and stepped into the lake, the cool water washing against his legs. It was almost surreal, as if time had slowed down. "We can do this," he yelled, his voice rising high above the chaos. More hands reached into the water, more bodies braced against the current. The chain of townsfolk tightened, hearts beating as one. The fear, the old grievances, they melted away, replaced by a fierce desire to save. Suddenly, a cry rose from the water. A gasp escaped Ethan's lips as he realized it was his mom's voice. Emerging from the depths, she spluttered, grasping at the frayed edges of consciousness, her strength slipping. The sight sent a jolt through Ethan, a pure mix of terror and resolve. "Mom!" he called, and in that single word lay all the love, all the desperation he felt. He strained against the weight of the water and pushed forward. Coco leapt beside him, touching the water with his paws, sensing the urgency along with Ethan. The human chain shifted again. Everyone leaned in, the tide of unity pulling together, like a reinforced anchor against a storm. With a final push, hands reached deeper. There she was. A figure breaking through the surface, water cascading off her arms like liquid armor. Ethan froze for a moment, relief flooding him. His mom. They had done it. But as her body was pulled closer, the fear returned. She looked pale and dazed, eyes filled with confusion. Who would care for her when the strength she provided to everyone else was now gone? "Mom, you've got to hold on," he pleaded, finding her hand like a lifeline. He clenched it tightly, as if the bond between them was a force of nature itself. "You will get through this." The townsfolk, energized by his words and their collective resolve, moved together, pulling her safely to dry land. When her body finally lay on the grass, shivering but alive, the collective relief was palpable. The tension broke. Tears of joy mingled with laughter and cries of triumph. People embraced one another, their differences forgotten in the miracle of survival. But even as they celebrated, Ethan's thoughts spiraled. His mom would need time to heal. And he couldn't shake the realization this moment wasn't just about survival. It was a call to mend the deep-seated wounds of their community. As he looked around at the joyful chaos unfolding, he felt a surge of inspiration. It wouldn't stop here. There were stories to tell, connections to build, and hearts to mend. "Let us stay together. Let South make this place a better home," he whispered to Coco, who nodded as if he understood the weight of those words. What had started as a sunny picnic had transformed into something deeper, something that would affect everyone's lives moving forward. Ethan took a deep breath. They had fought to save one woman, but could they fight for their entire community too? The next steps loomed ahead, heavy with meaning. Would they rise together or drift apart again? Their story was far from over. Ethan's heart was still racing as he looked down at his mother lying on the grass. The warmth of the sun felt almost surreal, contrasting the chill of the water from which they just rescued her. He brushed a wet strand of hair from her face, searching for signs of awareness. Her eyes flickered open, and for a moment, they locked onto his with a spark of recognition. "Ethan?" Her voice was a fragile whisper, barely above the rustle of leaves overhead. "I'm here, Mom. I'm right here," he replied, relief flooding him. Tears welled up again, but they were different this time, testaments to their survival, not despair. Around them, the scene was beautifully chaotic. People hugged, laughter broke out, and a sense of unity enveloped them all like a warm blanket. Yet, for Ethan, the elation felt distant, overshadowed by the heaviness settling in his chest. His mom had come so close to being lost forever. "Get her water. Someone check her pulse. Move." A voice cut through the celebration. It was Mr. Davis, the town's doctor, who had rushed to the scene. His authoritative commands drew the crowd's attention back to the immediate reality, and Ethan felt a wave of gratitude for the man who had always been a pillar for their small community. Hands hurriedly fetched towels, cups, and blankets. Ethan found himself gripping his mom's hand tighter, the warmth radiating from her palm an anchor against the uncertainty of what lay ahead. She looked so small and fragile now, a stark contrast to the strength he had always known her to have. "Just breathe, Mom. You'll be okay," he repeated, even when he wasn't sure it was true. The doctor kneeled beside them, checking her over, his experienced eyes quickly assessing her condition. "We should get her home, Ethan. She needs to be warm, and we can monitor her for any complications." The gravity of his words weighed heavily on Ethan. She needed care, yet he felt an urgent need for her to be surrounded by the love and support of those who had just banded together like never before. Can we take her to the community center instead?" he asked, a flicker of hope igniting inside him. "We can all be together. Feels important." Mr. Davis paused, considering. If that's what you think is best, then we can do that. Ethan lifted his mom gently, letting others lend their strength to support her. The townsfolk lined the path toward the community center. A solemn parade marked by the quiet understanding of the shared experience they had just faced. As they walked, the faces of his neighbors reflected back the realization of their collective fragility. Ethan felt a charge surge within him, a sense of purpose swelling small but strong, inching away the dampness of doubt that had once loomed like storm clouds over their lives. And just ahead, the community center sat like a beacon of hope, its doors open wide. Inside, he imagined laughter once more echoing against the walls, stories shared like treasures among friends, healing conversations sparked by shared adversity. Stay close, Mom. You're going to be okay, Ethan murmured again, this time not just for her but for himself as well. She was his anchor. He could be hers too. As they settled her onto a makeshift bed of blankets in the center, the room fell silent, an electric energy rising as the townspeople began to speak. Stories poured from their hearts, recounting not just the rescue, but the anger, the division they had felt before. In that crowded room, Ethan realized they weren't merely mending one broken spirit. They were confronting the rifts that had threatened to tear them apart for so long. But could they truly hold on to this newfound strength and unity? He could feel the tension mounting. Would this moment be the turning point they needed, or would old grievances resurface and threaten to pull them away again? As the first laugh broke through the silence, Ethan clenched his mom's hand tighter. Perhaps together they could weave their own stories of hope. But deep inside, he wondered if the real battle for the heart of their community was just beginning. The atmosphere inside the community center changed as conversations sparked, voices rising and blending into a warm hum of connection. Ethan remained by his mother's side, his heart swelling with cautious optimism. The blankets wrapped around her formed a cocoon of care, and he felt the gentle rise and fall of her chest beneath them. Each breath seemed like a promise, a small victory. "We're so lucky, Ethan," a familiar voice broke through his thoughts. It was Mr. Winthrop, the retired school principal, his face lined with concern yet softened by gratitude. "She's going to be just fine. This town. We all came together." "Yeah, I know," Ethan replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "But what if this doesn't last? What if the hope we're feeling fades?" Mr. Winthrop knelt beside him and gave a reassuring smile. "Hope doesn't just fade, son. It transforms. You'll see. It becomes part of us, especially when we share it." Ethan looked around. Neighbors and friends were huddled together, laughing and crying simultaneously, like the two sides of a coin. He caught snippets of conversations. People talking about the past, the disputes simmered down to nothing in the face of a common threat. The way they pulled through today reminded him of a family coming together after a hardship. It filled him with a deep longing, stirring memories of kindness shared long ago, things he thought had languished in the shadows. Just then his mother stirred. Her eyes fluttered open wider, and she seemed to process the faces around her. The chaos felt muted to Ethan, as if time had slowed just for her. "What happened?" she croaked, voice still fragile but undeniably alive. "Mom!" Ethan exclaimed, leaning closer. "You scared us. You fell into the water but we got you out. You're safe now." His words tumbled out, almost a desperate plea for reassurance. Her eyes softened as she focused on him. "Ethan, I'm sorry," she mumbled, and Ethan's heart tightened. "I didn't mean to worry you. I thought I could swim, you just need to rest," he said firmly, lifting her hand and pressing it to his cheek. "You've been through so much. Just breathe and be here with us." As he settled beside her, a ripple of voices rose around them again. Folks started sharing stories of how they had held back anger and resentment, tales of lost time, and apologies hovering in the air. One by one they shared how they had missed each other, how small arguments and petty grievances felt trivial compared to the lifeboat of community they had built today. "Today proved something," Mr. Davis spoke up, looking around the room. "We can't let our differences define us any longer. We need to see that time is too precious." Quiet murmurs of agreement followed, as the reality of his words sunk in. Ethan watched as tears streamed down some faces. Yet, as many wiped away their grief, he noticed smiles breaking through like sunlight. His mother squeezed his hand, and he could feel the life trembling through her fingers. But then, as the laughter swelled, a shadow crossed Ethan's expression. He stole a glance at the doorway. He couldn't shake the sense that someone was missing. What if they never regained the spirit of togetherness that had blossomed so beautifully today? Would the cracks break open again, tearing apart the newfound bond? As he turned back to the crowd, his eyes locked onto a set of footsteps entering a figure from the past he hadn't expected. It was Sam, the boy from down the street, a long-ago friend who had drifted away. The energy changed instantly, a jarring halt to the joy that had been bubbling. What was Sam doing here? Ethan's heart raced again, this time for a different reason. Did Sam know about the accident? Was he coming to reconnect? Or had the fractures re-emerged? The moment felt heavy, charged with unspoken words and unresolved tensions. Ethan's grip on his mother's hand tightened once more as questions danced just out of reach. Could today's hope survive the return of old wounds? Ethan felt a rush of emotions as Sam stepped into the room, the noise of laughter and conversation fading into a tense stillness. The boy he once knew had changed taller, but with the same familiar spark in his eyes. It reminded him of summer days spent racing down sidewalks and laughing under the sun. "Ethan," Sam said, his voice breaking the silence like a fragile glass. "I heard about your mom. I'm really glad she's okay." There was a sincerity in his gaze that forced Ethan to look away, battling the urge to invite him back into his life. "She's not out of the woods yet," Ethan replied, his voice curt, the wall of uncertainty rising between them. "What are you doing here?" Sam shifted uncomfortably. "I saw all the lights from the center. I just wanted to see what?" Ethan shot back, frustration bubbling. "See if everyone still cares about each other? Because it feels like we've forgotten what community even means." Before Sam could respond, Ethan's mother stirred again, her voice breaking through their tension. "Sam?" she croaked, her eyes hazy but focused. "It's been a long time." Ethan's heart ached. Why did she have to notice him? This wasn't about Sam, it was about what they had lost and how to piece their family together. "Yeah, Mrs. Thompson," Sam stammered, stepping forward, uncertain yet earnest. "I've missed you guys." "Good to see you, honey," she said softly, the warmth of her voice slipping past Ethan's anger. Seeing his mother react this way cut through the frustration like a knife. Wasn't it supposed to be about healing together? Ethan's grip loosened. His mother had always advocated for understanding, and here she was, somehow bridging the gap he didn't know how to cross. Ethan felt small, caught in this web of emotions he couldn't untangle. While Sam and his mother exchanged a few more words, Ethan watched, his heart caught in ambivalence. He wanted to reach out, but it felt impossible. The past was like a heavy fog, full of hurt and misunderstanding. That fog was lifted for a moment when laughter burst forth from across the room, reminding everyone of their joy. As Mrs. Thompson's gaze lingered on Ethan's face, she smiled, one that turned his turmoil into focus. "Ethan, sweetheart, sometimes the people we thought we'd lost can become our biggest allies." He blinked, letting those words settle over him like a warm hug. Could he really trust Sam again? Could this moment of connection lay the foundation for something new? Just as the two friends seemed on the cusp of rebuilding, a loud thud echoed from the kitchen, a loud crash, followed by startled gasps. Ethan's heart raced anew. What was that? Everyone turned to the kitchen entrance where several neighbors had gathered, eyes wide and mouths agape. "I think someone's hurt," Mr. Winthrop shouted, pushing through the crowd. Ethan felt the blood drain from his face as a wave of panic washed over the room. Questions raced through his mind. Who was hurt? Was this a sign that all hope was unraveling? He looked at Sam, their eyes locking in silent agreement, forged by the fear growing heavy in the air. "Let us check it out," Sam said, urgency lacing his voice, their past hurt suddenly overshadowed by an immediate need to act. Together, they moved towards the kitchen, their hearts pounding, unsure of what they would find but knowing they had to face it side by side. As they approached, Ethan held his breath, trying to steady himself against the uncertainty. Could they band together again? Or would this tragedy pull them further apart? The kitchen door swung wide open, and there, amidst the chaos, lay the answer to their questions. The kitchen was in disarray. Tables were overturned, chairs scattered like fallen soldiers. But amid the chaos, a figure struggled on the ground. It was Mrs. Harris, the elderly neighbor known for her garden and her sweet homemade cookies. Ethan's heartbeat quickened as he took a step forward. "Someone call 911. He shouted, feeling a surge of responsibility wash over him. He knelt next to Mrs. Harris, who was clutching her chest, her breath shallow and ragged. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" he asked, his voice strained yet steady. Her eyes fluttered open, filled with panic. "Ethan, I couldn't breathe," she managed to choke out, her face pale. Sam knelt beside him, his face contorting with worry. "We need to check her pulse," he said, his tone rushed but calm. Ethan took a deep breath, forcing himself to focus. He placed 2 fingers on her wrist, searching for a heartbeat while Sam monitored her breathing. It felt like an eternity, but finally he felt it, a weak, thready pulse. Relief flooded through him for an instant, but the anxiety was still deep in his gut. "Stay with us, Mrs. Harris. We're here," Ethan urged, trying to convey the same sense of urgency to her that filled the room. "We've got to keep her calm," Sam said. "Try to remember something, a happy memory." Noticing the growing crowd just outside the kitchen, Ethan felt a mix of fear and anger. "Everyone stand back. Give her space." As the neighbors stepped back, searching Ethan's face for guidance, Mrs. Harris wheezed, "Ethan, the roses. I remember when they bloomed, tell me about them," he encouraged, desperate to keep her focused. Sam moved alongside Ethan, his presence a silent strength as he joined in. "What colors did you plant? Was it red or pink?" The conversation shifted Mrs. Harris's attention, allowing more color to return to her face. "Red blooms brighter in the sunlight," she managed. There was a flicker of a smile in her eyes, and it grounded Ethan. He glanced at Sam, both of them feeling the weight of the moment, realizing they were not just 2 boys caught up in their past. They were part of something bigger, an unbroken chain of care helping one of their own. Suddenly, the sound of sirens pierced through the air, and glances of relief started to pass among the observing neighbors. Ethan's adrenaline surged. Minutes felt like hours, and hope hung delicately in the balance. "Help is here." A voice rang out as 2 paramedics burst through the doorway, their equipment in tow. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief, feeling a mix of gratitude and exhaustion. He stepped back, letting the professionals take over. As they began their work, he exchanged a look with Sam that spoke volumes, shared concern, fear, and newfound respect. But as the paramedics assessed Mrs. Harris, Ethan felt a shift inside him. The chaos, the fear, every emotion he'd been grappling with fell momentarily to the background. It was true, sometimes the most unexpected moments could pave the way for healing and connection. Yet just as they exhaled a collective sigh of relief, a flicker of movement caught Ethan's eye in the corner of the kitchen. A shadow smaller than the rest. He turned sharply, and his breath hitched. It was Coco, Mrs. Harris's little dog, watching from under a table, eyes wide with confusion. "Sam," he called, pointing at the frightened dog. "We can't leave him. He might need our help too." Ethan watched Sam's reaction, a mix of determination and concern etching across his features. Would they step back into their old alliance? Would this moment of crisis deepen their bond or push them apart again? They looked at each other, understanding the next step wasn't just about rescuing a dog, but also rekindling their friendship. "Let us do it," Sam said with conviction, and Ethan's heart raced again. This was their chance to start anew. Ethan crawled under the table, gathering his courage as he slowly reached for Coco, unsure how the little dog would react. When he looked back at Sam, he saw the familiar spark was back in his eyes. Would this moment be the turning point they both needed? With an uncertain yet hopeful heart, Ethan whispered, "Come here, Coco." "It's okay." Ethan extended his hand cautiously, heart pounding as he reached out toward Coco. The tiny dog was trembling, fur bristled with fear, but Ethan's voice seemed to cut through the chaos around them. Slowly, Coco edged closer, his expressive eyes locked onto Ethan's. "Good boy," Ethan said, softening his tone. "We're going to help you." He felt Sam shift beside him, a sense of camaraderie igniting as they worked together. The 2 of them were no longer just friends from childhood. They were side by side now, facing a challenge that demanded their united strength. "Coco, it's okay," Sam encouraged, inching closer. "You can trust us." With one gentle motion, Ethan scooped the trembling pup into his arms. Coco's little body quivered against him, but when Ethan wrapped his arms around him tightly, the dog leaned in, seeking comfort. A wave of relief washed over Ethan. He had not only rescued Coco, but they had also preserved a thread of connection, A fragile bond that needed mending. As the paramedics tended to Mrs. Harris, the kitchen seemed to fill with a new kind of energy. Ethan felt the warmth between him and Sam growing, a sense of purpose sparking within him. This rescue transformed the air, shifting from panic to hope as both boys worked to keep Coco calm. "Let us take him outside," Ethan suggested, glancing toward the door. "The fresh air might help him." Sam nodded, and together they maneuvered through the kitchen, careful to avoid the scattered debris. As they emerged onto the porch, the cool breeze washed over them, swirling with the scent of the blooming roses Mrs. Harris adored. It was almost as if the garden itself was beckoning them to remember the beauty amidst the chaos. "Hey Coco," Ethan murmured, kneeling down to level with the dog. "You're safe now. You can just breathe." The little dog cautiously looked around, then licked Ethan's face as if thanking him for the comfort he provided. The moment sparked laughter from Sam, cutting through the tension that still lingered. "Looks like our patient is going to be all right." "Yeah, right," Ethan replied with a smile, relief flooding in. But just as the heaviness of the moment began to dissipate, a sharp cry echoed through the neighborhood. "Where is she?" A woman yelled, urgency infusing her voice. Ethan's heart dropped. He glanced back inside the house, where the commotion had settled into muted whispers. In that instant, he realized that Mrs. Harris wasn't the only one who might be in danger. There could be others, perhaps even a family, caught in the fallout of the chaos they had witnessed. "Who is that?" Sam asked, sensing the shift in Ethan's demeanor. "I think it's her daughter," Ethan replied, dread creeping in as he recalled how distraught Mrs. Harris had looked. She had to be coming from somewhere, maybe the store. "We should check." Before Sam could respond, they both sprung into action, bracing themselves to navigate the surrounding chaos once more. As they made their way toward the crowd gathering at the end of the street, a sinking feeling grew within Ethan. What if they were too late? What if something had happened to Mrs. Harris's daughter? And in that tumultuous moment, with Coco still cradled in Ethan's arms, one question started to loom large. Could they be the ones to help not just Mrs. Harris but her whole family? Determined to find answers, they intensified their search, hearts pounding with a mixture of dread and the flicker of hope that they could make a difference. The crowd grew denser as Ethan and Sam approached, faces blurred by anxiety and uncertainty. Voices weaved together into a troubled tapestry, murmurs cracking under the weight of fear. Ethan gripped Coco tighter as they pushed into the throng of onlookers, instinct driving him forward. He scanned the faces, searching desperately for a glimpse of Mrs. Harris's daughter. "Where did she go?" Someone shouted, their voice rising in panic. "Did anyone see what happened?" Another voice chimed in, trembling with worry. Ethan felt the pressure in his chest tighten. Each question echoed in his mind, amplifying a haunting sense of urgency. He spotted a middle-aged woman with tears streaming down her cheeks, speaking frantically to a neighbor. "She was just here. I don't understand how she could just disappear." Sam placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder, grounding him momentarily. "This way," he urged, guiding Ethan toward the edge of the crowd. "Maybe we can find someone who knows more." They pushed through the group, the weight of concern palpable in the air. The open street fanned out before them, littered with fallen branches and the remnants of the earlier chaos. Standing at the curb, they surveyed their surroundings, trying to sense where to go next. "Over there." Sam pointed towards a small gathering near Mrs. Harris's car. People were peering down the street, their expressions a blend of confusion and dread. With determination, Ethan focused ahead, balancing Coco's warmth against his chest. They jogged toward the cluster of anxious faces and at last, spotted a young woman with auburn hair, pacing anxiously along the asphalt. Are you Mrs. Harris's daughter?" Ethan called out, breathless. The woman turned abruptly, her eyes wide with apprehension. Yes, that's me. Have you seen my mom?" Her voice cracked, the pain evident. Ethan felt an ache in his chest. She's inside. She was hurt in the fall. The paramedics are attending to her now." Relief flickered in her eyes, but alongside it was a flood of distress. "Oh God," she gasped, her hands balled into fists. "I was just at the store. I didn't know." "We're going to be okay," Sam reassured her, stepping forward. "Can you tell us where you were last? Maybe we can help get her home." "I didn't even see the fall," she cried, emotions bubbling up, making it hard to focus. "I just got a call from the neighbor. We had such a lovely day planned. The words hit Ethan. Plans. Moments wasted. He thought again of the tiny dog cuddled in his hands, a symbol of hope in times of turmoil. It's going to be all right. Ethan's voice was steady as if he were speaking to Coco. We'll find her. We just need to stay calm. Together they formed a plan. As people began dispersing, gathering bits of information, Ethan felt his heart thump with purpose. They moved toward the alley, where a cluster of concerned neighbors whispered amongst themselves, casting sympathetic glances at Mrs. Harris's daughter. Excuse me, has anyone seen where she might have gone? Ethan asked, resolute. Suddenly, a voice piped up from the back. I saw her. She went toward the small park behind the old school. She was panicked. I didn't know what was happening. Ethan locked eyes with Sam, adrenaline coursing through them. That's it. We need to go now. As they sprinted down the road, Ethan's heart raced. What awaited them in the park? A moment later, they burst through the trees and emerged into a clearing. The park lay ahead, empty save for a few scattered toys and remnants of laughter from a different time. Mom! The daughter called, her voice piercing the stillness. Coco, stay close, Ethan whispered, looking for signs of life among the shadows. Would they find her? What if they weren't in time? What if hope slipped through their fingers? The precarious balance of fear and determination enveloped them as they pressed forward. Would this be the moment they either found Mrs. Harris or realized they were too late? Ethan's heart pounded in his chest, and each step felt heavier than the last. The trees loomed tall, their branches casting long shadows across the empty park. He felt the unease swell. Mom! The daughter called out again, her voice cracking. It echoed against the stillness, a stark reminder of how quickly everything could change. Ethan glanced at Sam, who was scanning the ground, looking for any signs of struggle or clues. What if she fainted? Or Sam's voice trailed off, too caught up in his thoughts to finish. Ethan's eyes darted around, suddenly aware of every sound, the rustle of leaves, the distant laughter from other children playing in a nearby park, the staccato beat of his heartbeat. It all felt amplified, a cacophony of fears swirling inside him. Let us split up, he suggested, feeling the urgency pinch at his insides. You take the left side, I'll go right. Okay, Sam nodded, determination in their eyes. With a shared instinct for speed, they dashed in opposite directions. Ethan kept Coco firmly tucked under his arm, a soft warmth amidst the frantic search. Each step felt like a question, a plea to the universe for safety. Coco, we need to help, he whispered, feeling the little dog gaze up at him with trusting eyes. Was it wrong to feel tethered to this tiny creature while searching for someone else's mother? It felt both right and heavy. As he scanned the area, he shouted, Mrs. Harris, are you there? From the corner of his eye, he saw a flash of red by the old school building, barely visible through the thin trees. He raced toward it, breath hitching as he arrived at a small pond. The water shimmered under the faint light of the late afternoon sun, and for a heartbeat, hope and dread tangled inside him. Mom! Came the panicked voice again. The daughter was now close behind him, lingering near the edge of the pond, eyes wide with fear. Mrs. Harris! Ethan called, leaning closer to the water, now clenched with anxiety. If you can hear us, please. His voice faded into the gentle lapping of the water against the rocks. Coco barked suddenly, a sharp sound that broke through the tension, drawing Ethan's attention. The little dog had wriggled from his grip to peer nervously toward the water. Coco, come back, Ethan urged, but the dog dashed off, a wild instinct taking over. Wait! The daughter gasped, following Ethan's gaze. Coco stood at the water's edge, tail whipping back and forth as if he sensed something beneath the surface. Ethan joined him, confusion and fear rushing in. Then he saw a flash of something white just beneath the water. Oh God, Ethan felt his heart stop. No. He surged toward the edge, leaning in to see clearly. The sight twisted his gut. There, barely visible beneath the murky surface, was what appeared to be a small floating object. Could it be? Is it her? The daughter breathed, stepping closer. I don't know, Ethan forced out, every instinct screaming to dive in to act. Call for help. Sam shouted from behind them, his face pale. Help! Ethan yelled, his voice cracking as panic gripped him tightly. He couldn't breathe. But as if in response, the water suddenly erupted, sending ripples crashing across the surface. A figure emerged, gasping for air. Mrs. Harris. Her face was pale, a splash of terror darting through her eyes. "Mom!" the daughter screamed, eyes widening in shock. Ethan fell to his knees, heart racing. Could they pull her out in time? The moment hung heavy above them, fraught with desperation. What would happen next? Would they manage to save her? Or was it already too late? Ethan's breath caught in his throat as Mrs. Harris bobbed amidst the water. Desperation etched across her face. Time felt frozen as the world faded, the shouting and chaos falling into silence. He could see panic in her eyes, as well as the shimmering reflection of life still flickering within her. "Mom! Grab her hand!" the daughter cried, her voice ringing with urgency. Ethan's instincts surged forth, propelling him forward. He reached over, fully expecting Sam to be right beside him. And he was there, breathing heavily, determination blazing in his eyes. "On three," Sam said, adrenaline spilling into action. 1, 2, 3. Together, they lunged toward Mrs. Harris, their hands outstretched as if they could catch her not just in the water but also in the love stretched around them. But she sank again, unwillingly pulled downward by the weight of all she had been through. Panic surged anew, but Ethan refused to let it conquer him. His heart insisted that love could break any grip of despair, that community could triumph even in the darkest moments. "Mom! We're here. Just reach for us," the daughter shouted, her voice breaking through the freeze, imploring her mother to fight. As if pulled by some unseen force, Mrs. Harris's hand broke the surface just long enough for Ethan to grasp it. The shock of her cold skin sent a shiver down his spine, but he tightened his grip with all the power his heart could muster. "Hold on!" he yelled, straining against the water's resistance. Sam took her other hand, their combined strength becoming a lifeline, a bridge between despair and hope. The small but fierce pulsing under his fingers was the spark they needed. "Pull!" Sam shouted, and with every ounce of their determination, they anchored themselves and yanked together, desperation fueling their movement. Up she came, her face sputtering, rising from the depths like a phoenix reborn. Mrs. Harris gasped for air, confusion giving way to recognition as she felt the echoes of warmth from those holding on to her. The world around them burst back into sound, the frantic cries, the gasping breaths, a cacophony of life rushing in to fuel their efforts. With a final effort, they hoisted her onto the soft grass beside the pond, the lightness of her body contrasting against the heaviness of the moment. Her daughter fell to her knees beside her mother, large tears pouring forth in waves of relief. "Mom! Thank God you're back." As Mrs. Harris struggled to breathe, smiles poured forth like healing rain through the crowd. The connection that had been forged from the day's turmoil was palpable. It wrapped around them tightly, an embrace that promised to be unbreakable. Ethan felt something shift inside his heart. No longer was he just a boy feeling helpless amidst chaos. He had become a part of this collective journey, a bond that transcended worry and resentment. The daughter held her mother as she coughed, sputtering water mixed with sobs. "I thought I lost you." I'm here," Mrs. Harris assured her, though her voice trembled. Sam returned to Ethan's side, breathless yet exhilarated. "Did we really just do that?" Ethan met his gaze, a gentle smile spreading across his face. "Yeah, we did." In that moment, a sense of purpose enveloped him, a realization shimmering like the lake's surface in the sunlight. They needed to build upon this strength, this love, this shared community. As the paramedics arrived to assist, Ethan found himself once again clutching Coco, who had been dancing around their feet, joyfully barking at the scene unfolding. The little pup reminded him that life is full of surprises, even in moments that seem destined for despair. "Everyone," Ethan called, raising his voice to capture the attention of the crowd. "Today isn't just about saving a life. It's about remembering what we have, a community that cares. We need to be there for each other beyond this day. Let us rebuild." His words sent a ripple through the crowd. People began nodding, murmurs of agreement echoing like an anthem rising in strength. "Let us turn this into something beautiful," Sam added, his eyes bright with newfound determination. "Let us organize community events, come together, share stories like we did today. Don't let what happened slip away." Laughter surged, hope ignited. The tears that once marked the day turned into smiles that lit up faces, reminding everyone of their capabilities when they stood together. As they settled into heartfelt discussions, the sound of laughter and stories overlapping mingled with the environment, a celebration of healing. Ethan gazed down at Coco, who was now resting in his lap, tail thumping softly against the ground. Together he murmured, heart swelling with pride both for his mom, who inspired him, and for the community he had just begun to understand so deeply. They had emerged from darkness and into the light, not just as individuals but as a family united by compassion. That day had begun with the flicker of a picnic, yet birthed a wildfire of connection, a reminder that hearts could heal when tied together in hope. And with that, Ethan smiled, knowing they would rise stronger and brighter just like the sun setting over the lake. Don't wait any longer. You need to subscribe now to catch all the exclusive stories ahead. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and help share this journey we've all gone on together. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. I want to know what you truly think. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. True fans know the importance of supporting our journey together.